Over the last 60 years, anime has become something no one can escape. Let's be honest, you've probably seen Goku, Naruto, or Luffy at least once in the last year. Even if you're a parent with a kid who likes Pokemon, that's an anime. It's a medium that was once considered rather niche, but is now something that is more mainstream than ever. Major streaming platforms, such as Netflix, have begun to really expand their anime catalog, despite once barely having anything on there. Manga and anime merchandise are far easier to find in stores now. Seriously, I never expected to be able to go into a store near me and casually find copies of the Dandadan manga or the Fruit Basket DVD sets. Hell, I was able to get the entirety of Bocchi The Rock Season 1. Those same stores are also selling figures, plushies, shirts, blind bags, etc., and anime has expanded into so many different genres and subgenres. Shoujo, shonen, isekai, action, romance, Gundam, etc. Honestly, there's so many genres it's hard for me to even keep track of what's what anymore. Back in early 2024, when I was starting out properly getting into anime outside of the very few I'd already seen, if you'd asked me at the time what my favorite genre was, I'd definitely respond to you with romance. I've always had a large shipping connection, something about watching two people grow and fall in love really connected with me on a fundamental level. But in the background, there was another genre that I had experienced before any of these romance series that was slowly preying on my mind. Music. Particularly rock anime, I think, is one of the more underappreciated genres, something that constantly pumps out quality no matter the studio or plot. It's a simple but fun concept. A group of characters come together to express themselves and their life via music, usually in a sense of rebellion against the world or the people who have troubled them. Because in the end, this is what rock is and always has been. It's known for being a grand stand against the systems via sound. It's an act of freedom and defiance. Yet ironically, one of the pioneers of this genre has next to nothing to do with rebellion at all, and it needs zero introduction whatsoever. That's because I'm just not gonna give it one at the moment, since I almost forgot to actually introduce what the hell a rock and a music is.
こんなめちゃくちゃな始まりあるか。知らないよ。見えたよ。We're rocking with our sound. なんで春日やったの Background music? We put the audience to sleep? Well, who's sleeping now, jackass? It doesn't matter if we're talking vocals or guitar or flute. Unless you're going ham, you ain't nothing but shit!
Rocks are hard, and sometimes kinda big. They hurt when you throw them at people, and they come in a range of colors. So, gaining influence from blues, jazz, and all sorts of the different main musical genres at the time, someone in the late 1940s decided, what if we made that into sound? Now, look, I'm gonna be real, I'm not educated at all in music. I'd love to be one day, but it's gonna take a while. One thing I can tell you is that rock is heavily associated with the defiance of social norms, especially for that of the youth at the time and even today. Compared to something like pop or classical music, rock is usually quite audibly striking and loud. It seeks your attention, really. That feeling of youth or rebellion is a great concept, something you can easily do a lot with in an anime or manga format. It especially fits with the fact that all of the IPs I want to cover today all mostly feature teens as their main cast, with one particular exception, but I'll cover that later. And music as a whole is really just a great way to express your feelings, whether it be jealousy, anger, loss, desire, joy, hell, pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, sloth, etc. My point overall is that rock and music are good storytelling devices. It's an easy way to make people feel things. But the timing of these stories are also important, especially for the more modern series that are releasing at a time where we're facing so much more censorship and restrictions on daily life than ever before. Which is exactly why the first series I want to talk about is nothing to do with Rebellion at all, but is arguably the most iconic and probably the most mainstream this genre is ever going to get. May I introduce you to...
It's coming to a close. I guess I should know that I'm never gonna see you again in a place that sells vintage vintage clothes. I guess you should know that it hasn't been the easiest years for a band living in the throes.
K-On! Is a slice-of-life comedy music manga written and illustrated by Kakafly that began publication in 2007, in which slightly after that, in 2009, received a TV anime that spanned 2 seasons with 39 episodes, and eventually gained a movie in 2011, marking the last we'd see of the K-On! Anime. K-On! Is a simple series that revolves around, at first, 4 girls hanging out and enjoying their school life. In the second year arc, a 5th member would also be introduced. But the general concepts still stay the same throughout. There is no real overarching plot, it really is just about this group hanging around and enjoying their life. The anime weirdly tried to add a plot about the group going to Budokan and forming there, but they quickly forget that exists, and after that moment, it never really goes anywhere. But that's fine, because one thing that K-On! Does correctly that can't be understated is expression. K-On! Is about living your life, enjoying the little moments that it brings you. They do music not because they want to be big and successful or have anything to say about the world, but just because in truth they enjoy it more than anything else. It's something they cherish, something they want to express and show the world. K-On! Is not a particularly super deep series, but it is still rock at the end of the day, and it's undoubtedly the most iconic anime to come out of the genre so far. In recent times, more rock series are beginning to grow in popularity, but it's difficult to triumph the success that K-On! Has had, especially when it comes to internet culture. Hell, while writing this, I was walking home one day and someone deadass has a K-On! Themed car, so that has to count for something. It's a very peaceful anime, it's something you can turn on any episode of and have fun with, and while there haven't been many, if any at all, rock band anime since then that have come close to K-On!'s popularity, there are certainly some out there that have been able to match its vibe, such as Now, I might get grilled for this by people who don't watch past that previous line, because on a surface level, Bocchi and K-On! Aren't that similar, but it's about the vibes. Bocchi is similar to K-On! In that it is very much centered around comedy and music. It has an overarching plot and far clearer personal development, especially for that of Bocchi and the rest of Kosoku Band, but its big appeal comes not just from Bocchi's personal development, but its use of exaggerated comedy to tell a more engaging story. Similar to K-On!, Bocchi isn't really all in on that useful defiance type shit, but rather wants the viewer to become more comfortable with expressing yourself. Because, you know, social anxiety, fuck social anxiety, you go girl, jump off that stage. It's also fitting because I've spoken about it before, but Bocchi was my gateway drug into this medium alongside Komi Ga Communicate. And the biggest thing I gained from Bocchi, outside of being able to gaslight my friend for a month into thinking I hadn't seen it, was that sense of expression and wanting to do more with your life beyond being trapped and isolating yourself from society. Bocchi is actually less about defiance and more about acceptance, coming to accept yourself and that the world doesn't actually want you gone. I mean, most of it at least. It's a peaceful and rewarding watch, and its music is at the core of the series. Especially with Bocchi, you couldn't substitute the rock music aspect for something else. She has to learn music and it has to be rock. The series doesn't hit the same if you had Bocchi learning country music or pop songs. Would it be really funny to see Kosoku Band play a Sabrina Carpenter song? Absolutely. Would it fit with the rest of the series? No, of course not. We all about that loud, hard-hitting music that wants to do nothing but genuinely make you act, and that's something I think rock has always been very good at. I love Bocchi The Rock. It's awesome. One of the best modern anime out there. And I also love waiting 75 years for Season 2 to drop. The series really falls into that neat little kind of midway point between a full comedy-focused series and a more plot-heavy series. And I don't think it could have been done any other way. I mean, come on, one of the first scenes has a line that states bands are a place where introverts can shine. Bocchi The Rock is about how you can take this art and use it to open yourself and your feelings up to the world. There's another series that does this, but dear God, how do we talk about this? Yeah, so ignore that cutesy crap I just talked about. Rock is a lady's modesty. It says, to hell with that, we all in. I haven't been given the chance to properly talk about this series yet, because it's actually the most recent one released as of writing this, having begun airing in April 2025 and ending in late June. And with all the videos I've done since it's finished airing, yeah, I've not had a proper chance to discuss it, but that changes now. Rock is a Lady's Modesty is half CG, with it being 2D animated for most of its runtime, with the performances specifically being in CG. And while admittedly it can definitely look jarring going between the two styles, what they do with the CG in particular is jaw-dropping to say the least. Every single performance is this high of emotions, leaving me stunned every single time. With many of them, I'm still thinking of even almost 5 months after Season 1 completed its initial run. It really immerses you into how the characters are feeling in that moment, a genuine whirlwind of emotions every time they even strum their instruments. CG rock band anime isn't uncommon with anime like Bang Dream and Girls Band Cry, both of which, trust me, I will be getting to, already having been released well before Rock is a Lady's Modesty even began airing. But dare I say it, A Lady's Modesty might take the cake when it comes to its visuals and animation. The story, like I said, is focused around taking this art and not letting yourself be restrained, opening yourself up completely for the world to see, and it is aggressive about it. This entire band would be wanted criminals if they had access to Xbox 360 Call of Duty. That's how hard we're talking. They also stand out for the reasoning of generally being quite different from your regular band. Not just in their attitude, but in how their music is played. All of the bands I have already discussed and plan to discuss today are vocal bands, except for this one, which is an instrumental band, meaning there isn't a vocalist, which actually quite helps to service the characters, allowing you to still feel the music while also giving an insight into how the characters themselves are feeling without having to interrupt or focus less on the lyrics. This isn't to say every single lyrical band should rid themselves of their vocalist, because of course not. Lyrical songs can be better, and honestly, I myself prefer them to instrumental music. Lyrics allow you to be more direct with the crowd you want to reach, whereas instrumental songs are a lot more open, giving the listener the ability to theorize on what the musician may want the listener to feel when they hear it. In the case of Rock is a Lady's Modesty, the song's rock lady covers tend to be very energetic and over the top, making you feel thrilled and excited. In particular, wanting you to act more than anything. It's a strong rush of energy that adds to the sense of youthful joy the band provides. Rock Lady exists out of nothing but a strong, overwhelming, and intense desire to play music. They could care less for the success of it as long as they still get to do whatever the hell they want. This is their band cry. Their girls' band cry. Okay, that was really bad. Oh my, no, I'm so sorry about that. You understand it though, right? We're moving on to the next section. Got it? Okay, we're going. We're leaving. Let's go. I've waited this long to talk about it, so I'm wasting no time whatsoever. It's time for me to finally bring my legitimate favorite anime of all time into the discussion. If you know me, you know about Girls Band Cry, an original series created by Toei Animation. Yes, that Toei Animation, released in 2024 in Japan. This series means a lot to me for its story, its cast of characters, and especially its music. Girls Band Cry is basically the most fuck the system, we'll do what we want a show could do, with the main character, Nina's arc, literally starting with her dropping out of school and moving to Kawasaki simply because of an event where she was fairly unpunished for something she didn't do, and then the rest of the series is her continuously just choosing to live life how she wants to, instead of choosing to abide by the systems that do nothing but hurt people and make them lose their identity. This is reflected by both Nina and, on the opposite end of the spectrum, by Diamond Dust. Diamond Dust being a victim of the system that forced him to fall in line with everyone else, whereas Nina is the one who opposes it all and not only refuses to let Toge fall into the same trap, but also inspires Diamond Dust to work much harder to prove that they weren't the ones who were wrong in their decision to change direction. And by that, I mean inspires them to stop milking Eternal Flame / Void and finally write a new goddamn song, that being Cycle of Sorrow, which, in all fairness, is a banger, but please, this is a request to you, Toei. Give them more than 2 songs, one of which is a worse version of an already existing song. I've already made an entire video on Nina as a character and what she represents in Girls Band Cry, but I think the point of her character only a year later now rings much harder than it did in 2024 with the current political and societal climate somehow being even worse. We need more series that are going to step up and tell you to defy the systems that hold you down, and the true beauty of Girls Band Cry is that it does exactly that. It also does trauma, and you know what else does trauma? Can you believe that the first video I did about Bang Dream, or even mentioning Bang Dream on this channel, was about a character who got 5 seconds of screen time, and is the most whimsical of the cast in a series where every other character is deeply traumatized in one way or another? Yeah, me too. Okay, so before I get asked, why aren't you talking about the original Bang Dream as well? Simple, because I haven't watched it. Yeah, I watched MyGO earlier this year, and since then, while I've played a pretty good amount of Girls Band Party, still haven't had a chance to watch the original series, so I'm not going to talk about it or the bands in it, because I don't know enough about them. Sorry. Anyways, Bang Dream kind of follows up on what Bocchi was about, with bands being an escape from people's regular lives, giving this sense of freedom and comfort. Although, MyGO takes this plot a bit further, with the whole family aspect being a lot more dysfunctional. Something I love about MyGO is how unique and distinct it is from other anime in the same genre. The whole reason MyGO takes place is because of the loss of Crychick, a band formed between 3 members of MyGO and 2 members of Musica that eventually grew apart and the band self-destructed. Unlike with Momika from Girls Band Cry, where the breakup primarily affects just her, as well as Nina, who involves herself in it, this is a breakup that affects half the cast and drives their motivations for both of the 2 seasons. Where the other band anime are about the founding of a family, MyGO is dealing with both the loss of a family and the founding of new ones, that being in It's MyGO and Musica. The pacing and the lack of performances also lend themselves to this, with MyGO being much slower paced, even when compared to Musica. Instead of focusing on the music, it focuses on the personal situations surrounding the characters, while also showing the viewer how music can both tear a group apart and yet, at the same time, bring them back together. One of my favourite parts about MyGO is how it tries to go for a lot more complex issues in its narrative compared to other shows of the same genre. Musica especially ramps this up to a level I've never seen before, particularly with it choosing to deal with DID, commonly referred to as dissociative identity disorder. I'm shocked I was able to record that line first take. Wow, I need to pat myself on the back for that. Wow, holy shit. Not to mention, Musica was, like, actually disbanded for half the season, and MyGO was disbanded for an episode. Along with this, you get the complex motivations and twists of characters like Soyo and Yuika. It's a pretty narratively rich show, which is what I like about it more than anything. And I think it helps to stand out among other shows of the same genre. This isn't to say those series aren't narratively rich, but more so to say that I personally find what MyGO tackles to be a lot more interesting and unique compared to the others. Girls Band Cry is still my favorite though, let's get that straight. So what did we learn here? These shows particularly love CG for some reason. And also, I don't know, rock anime just feels really freeing to watch. Maybe it's a result of the time we're in. I keep saying it, but right now we're in a very restrictive and oppressive society, so having stories released, or even outside of anime or rock or music, that actively get out there and tell you that you should live the way you want and express yourself in the way you want, it's very fulfilling to experience. The anime I covered today all had elements of the genre that I felt defined the prime rock anime experience. I didn't even cover every anime like this because we'd be here all day. I was really close to adding Given, which I was planning to watch specifically for this video, but I decided against it because the script was like 5 pages long by that point, and I really liked the thumbnail, and adding any more anime to it would mess up the thumbnail. Maybe I'll do a part 2 at one point though, I don't know. Depends how this video gets received. My main point of this video is I really like this genre, and I wanted to talk about it because, honestly, I feel like it goes underappreciated in many different aspects. It has its fans, but because there aren't many anime like it, nor are the anime currently within it super popular, it's rare to see these stories get the attention they properly deserve, when most of the time they end up being some of the best watches of their respective years, with great writing that is able to really hit home with the viewer in a strong and impactful way. There's a reason games like Unbeatable are currently getting massive amounts of attention from people online. It's unfortunate I'm not able to talk too much about that game here, as it ended up being delayed a month while writing this, and I can't push this video back any longer. I'm really sorry this took too long to write. But I'm super excited for Unbeatable. It looks exactly like something I'd adore from not just a game, but a rhythm game too. And oh crap, would you look at that? Unbeatable is about rejecting the system put in place by the government. Whoa, who could have seen that one coming? What? Yeah, I'll probably do a full video on that game at one point. It looks awesome. But okay, no, we're getting sidetracked. Let's try to end this off on a strong note. Girls Band Cry, I've said it before and I'll say it again, my favorite anime of all time. For a good bit when I first watched it, it wasn't. It was definitely up there, but I was still denying it at the time. It's been a year since then. Doesn't feel like it, but it has. And I've come to realize, yeah, it's definitely my favorite. So why am I talking about Girls Band Cry specifically for the moment? Well, because of how it and other anime of the same genre since then have made me feel. Like I said earlier, there is something freeing about rock. Not just because of how it sounds or whatnot, but because of how it inspires a person to act. Yes, Nina is stupidly immature at times, making rash decisions and acting based on nothing but emotions. Yes, Bocchi is socially inept and cannot finish a conversation to save her life, and so on, but what's important is getting to see them grow and change throughout their experience with music, being able to properly express their emotions in a way that feels genuine and sincere through the power of their lyrics or the instrumental itself. Rock stories, in particular, allow their characters to be very emotionally vulnerable because that's what rock is about. Being open and true to yourself, allowing your vulnerabilities and deepest parts of yourself to shine through even when the people above you don't truly want to allow it. It's about having the spirit to express and the spirit to defy.